From workplaces to public places, individuals find themselves facing the consequences of their actions. Whether it's a case of mistreating others or disregarding common decency, these moments of instant karma leave us questioning the higher forces at play. Join us as we explore the mysterious world of karma, where actions have consequences and justice is swift and surprising. A professor was seriously trying to teach his class when something hilarious happened. Two guys in the back were clearly up to no good, totally ignoring him. One of them was busy sketching, probably trying to capture the professor's stance. Feeling a bit wild, the artist decided to stir things up. He tossed something at a kid sitting in front who was actually taking notes and couldn't help but burst out laughing. That loud laugh caught the professor's attention, and without missing a beat, he turned around and marched right over to the troublemakers. Realizing he was in hot water, the sketching guy quickly hid his drawing, but the professor had other ideas. He snatched the popcorn basket from the student's lap and in one smooth move, stuck it on the kid's head, turning him into the class clown. The whole room burst into laughter. That kid probably learned a solid lesson that day. Respect your elders, especially when they're holding the gradebook.
Братуш, вы ничего не забыли?
Ничего, блядь, охуел!
A guy driving a car thought it was no big deal to toss his trash out the window right in the middle of the street. He didn't even care. Luckily, a biker saw him do it and decided to show him what's up. The biker grabbed the trash and sped after the car. When he caught up, he knocked on the window, and when the driver rolled it down, he tossed all the garbage right back inside. Mission accomplished. Then the biker zoomed away, leaving the driver to deal with his own junk. Let's just say that smell is going to stick with him for a while and remind him not to litter again. Sometimes, the best way to clean up the streets is to make the litter bugs clean up their own mess.
Засранцы. Братуш, вы ничего не забыли?
Ничего, блядь, охуел!
Да не охуели, бля!
Making eye contact for too long can lead to some funny moments, just like one pedestrian found out the hard way. A driver was speeding down the road trying to beat the pedestrian to the crossing, but the pedestrian wasn't backing down and kept walking, making the driver stop. The pedestrian felt pretty smug about it, as if he could control traffic with just a look. But he got so caught up in his staring showdown that he forgot to pay attention to where he was going. Too focused on his little victory, he didn't see that the sidewalk was about to end and a pole was right in his path. Then it happened. He walked right into the pole. His moment of triumph turned into a cringeworthy disaster. So remember, while it's great to keep your eyes on the prize, it's even better to keep them on where you're headed. A little humility can go a long way in saving you from a whole lot of embarrassment. Cruising down the street, a guy on a scooter got totally distracted by a woman walking along the side. Instead of keeping his eyes on the road, he couldn't help but stare at her. He ended up crashing right into another scooter that was in front of him without even noticing it. The sound of the crash was quickly followed by the laughter of someone passing by who had been filming the whole thing. The scooter driver felt super embarrassed and probably banged up too, but he definitely learned a solid lesson about how important it is to stay focused while riding. His wandering attention got him into trouble, showing that distractions can lead to some rough consequences. Bottom line, staying focused while driving is not just smart, it's a must. Sometimes just a little distraction can end in a big mess.
Куда ты пошел?
Блин! Ты его!
Anger can really distort your view, and that saying couldn't be truer than in this wild story. There was this woman who was totally furious and went on a rampage, tossing garbage, dung, and all sorts of junk onto what she thought was her boyfriend's car. She was absolutely livid, probably because of a rough breakup. Meanwhile, her boyfriend's friends just pulled out their phones to film the whole thing instead of trying to stop her. She kept going with her trash fling, determined to make sure she left the car looking like a dump. After a bit, she finally seemed to get it all out of her system. Just then, her boyfriend strolled up, but instead of heading to the mess-covered car, he went straight for a different one parked behind it. The girl was left stunned, trying to wrap her head around what was going on. Her heart must have dropped when she realized her mistake, but it was too late. The actual owner of the wrecked car stepped out, looking totally confused and furious. Feeling embarrassed and ashamed, she chose to hightail it out of there. The moral of the story? Think before you act, or you might just end up trashing the wrong car.
Скажите что-нибудь, а? Девушка, а что у тебя? Хозяин, наверное. Мужик, не повезло, да. Да, а что,
Куда ты пошел?
Блин! Это его машина! Да беги, беги! Мужик, ты в Ютубе!
Километру jau pradėk taisytis. Nu ką, mėginsim pistoletu. Labai gerai šauna.
The saying goes, necessity is the mother of invention, and that's totally true. But sometimes, necessity can lead to some pretty silly decisions. There's this Russian guy who thought it would be a great idea to show off his homemade gun to his buddy, who was filming the whole thing. Instead of using a regular bullet, he filled it with a sulfur battery, thinking it would pack more punch and hit a target 10 kilometers away. With a cocky smile, he loaded up the old gun with gunpowder and started explaining his master plan for the camera. When he got ready to fire, he shot a look at his friend and pulled the trigger. Instead of the big bang he was expecting, there was this huge explosion. The sulfur battery flew into the air, wrecking the gun and sending him flying backward a few meters. The best part? His friend was still rolling and cracking up, catching all the craziness on tape. Talk about a lesson learned. Sometimes it's just better to stick with what you know works.
Reikundėjau, laidus prapačią praverčiau. Padarysim gaiduku, bus tai BUM, žinai. Nu, bet pasieksiu kyšo, blėt. Jeigu matai, kad priešas eina iš kokių 10 kilometrų, jau pradėk taisytis. Nu ką, išmėginsim pistoletu. Labai gerai šauna, ausis pilnas sieras. Ak tu nahui, kai ką.
Look at him. Look at this dude.
In 2.9 miles, turn right to merge onto I-40 West.
That's what happens. Oh, snap. Get him. I hope that's a long. Yeah! Get him, baby! Turn his head up!
If you mess around with road rage, be prepared for some serious consequences. Picture this: a highway full of cars, everyone stuck in traffic trying to get where they're going. Suddenly, this one van driver decides it's his moment to shine as the ruler of the road. He's weaving in and out, even shoving another driver off the road. It was chaos, but karma has a way of kicking in when you least expect it. Just when the van driver thought he was untouchable, a police car zoomed up right behind him. When that siren went off, it felt like all the other drivers collectively sighed in relief. The days of the van driver's madness were finally over.
Golly, there he goes again. You'll kill somebody. Hey, look at him. Look at him. Look at this dude.
In 2.9 miles, turn right to merge onto I-40 West.
That's what happens. Oh, snap. Get him. I hope that's a long. Yeah! Get him, baby! Turn his head up. Good guys win.
Kiss cams usually catch some sweet moments, but sometimes they turn into pure hilarity. At a live baseball game, the kiss cam zoomed in on a couple. The boyfriend, all excited to be on the big screen, turned to his girlfriend for a kiss. but she wasn't having it. Determined to make it happen anyway, he went in for the kiss, but instead of a hug, she smacked him right across the face. The crowd gasped in disbelief. Embarrassed but trying to play it cool, the boyfriend offered her a drink and some snacks, but she just dumped everything over him, making him look even more ridiculous. Meanwhile, the woman sitting next to them felt bad for him, so in a surprising move, she leaned over and offered him a kiss. He was completely humiliated but probably wanted to redeem himself, so he kissed her right in front of his girlfriend and the whole crowd. Realizing her mistake, his girlfriend felt the weight of her actions, but it was too late. Karma had already come around to teach her a lesson. Guess sometimes rejection hits back harder than you think. Committing a crime doesn't always go as smoothly as it does in movies. Just ask the wannabe thief who got caught at a business in Surrey. It was a regular Saturday night when the shop owner got an alert on her phone from her security system. She watched live as some guy smashed the glass and fought with the security gate. This wasn't her first time dealing with a break-in, so she knew exactly what to do and had taken precautions. The thief didn't find anything worthwhile and tried to make a run for it, but things went downhill fast. He couldn't get the gate to open and the alarm was ringing. Panicking, he searched everywhere for a way out, but came up empty. By the time the cops showed up with their flashing lights, he was stuck with no escape. The owner was smart about the whole thing. After all, she had to look out for her store and her employees. Was it a dumb move by the thief? Absolutely. In the end, the cops managed to get him out, but only to put him behind bars. Crime doesn't pay, especially when you trap yourself with your own mess. You know the saying, what goes around comes around? That's exactly what went down with this Prius driver in San Francisco. There's some pretty satisfying footage that made its rounds online. So this guy was driving chill, just following the flow behind a black car. When the car ahead passed another vehicle, our driver thought it was his chance to do the same. But then, out of nowhere, this Prius guy cut him off and flipped him the bird. Our driver was obviously ticked off, but kept his cool, not realizing he was about to get a good laugh. Feeling all high and mighty, the Prius driver hit the gas without looking and boom! He rear-ended the car in front of him. Watching this unfold, our calm driver couldn't help but burst out laughing. Hopefully the Prius guy learned to think twice before flipping off anyone else. You really can't escape karma on the road.
Okay, Presto.
100 strokes from a goldsmith can't match a single blow from a blacksmith. This saying really hit home for one guy. There was this dude in town who'd been sneaking into a convenience store for months, stuffing his bag with chips, candy, and drinks, then just strolling out without paying. He was no ordinary customer. He was a repeat offender who'd been stealing from the same store for nearly a year. But luck wasn't on his side this time. As he tried to make his escape, the store clerk locked the doors. In a panic, he kicked, shoved, and even jumped at the door, and after a wild 5 minutes of struggling, he finally squeezed through a gap. But his stealing days weren't over just yet. The store owner had enough but didn't want to destroy the guy's life over some petty theft. So he reached out to a local guy who recognized the thief and set up a meeting. What happened next was surprising. They actually talked it out. The thief apologized, and instead of calling the cops, the owner offered him a chance to work for a day. Quite the classy move, right? And that's how the saga of the serial thief wrapped up. Not with chaos, but with a handshake. Dot a stitch. In Time Saves 9, a restaurant owner found this out the hard way. He had a really bad habit of not paying his employees on time and working them too hard. One day, one employee just snapped. He asked the owner one last time for his overdue pay, but the owner brushed him off. That was it. The employee decided to take matters into his own hands. He ordered 2 trucks full of dung and manure and dumped one load right on the sidewalk and the other right in front of the restaurant door, all during the day. Now, the owner has a stinky reminder of why it's crucial to treat your employees well and pay them on time. Sometimes, the hardest lessons are the most memorable. Hopefully, the owner gets that taking care of your employees means they'll take care of you. If he doesn't, he'll be reminded of it every time he sees that manure. While driving on the highway, something pretty funny went down. The cars all slowed down to let some pedestrians cross, and there was this lady who was super rude, flipping off the drivers and acting all high and mighty, completely ignoring what was in front of her. Totally clueless, she walked right into the path of an oncoming truck. Thankfully, the driver was quick and managed to hit the brakes, avoiding a disaster. She definitely got a wake-up call about looking where she's going. Everyone in the cars was relieved and amused, watching karma do its thing. So really, keep your eyes open. You never know what might come your way. Chevy drivers love to show off with their tire-burning tricks, but this time it backfired big time. In a small town, there was this guy with a red Chevrolet who was infamous for creating huge clouds of smoke and somehow always managed to dodge the cops. He thought he was invincible until one day things took a turn. At a traffic light, instead of just chilling, he decided to rev up and burn some rubber, filling the intersection with smoke. Little did he know, his luck was about to run out. As he was showing off, he heard a honk from right behind him. To his surprise, it was a cop car watching him. Caught red-handed in his red Chevy, his days of carefree burnouts were officially over. The police finally got the better of him, and he learned that showing off can come with a hefty price. So, next time you think about making a scene, just remember, what goes around comes around. Burnouts might be fun, but getting slammed by the law isn't worth the smoke. Some people just can't help but mess with things, no matter how many times they're warned. Take this guy for instance. He was strolling by a lake and spotted a barrier pole on the bank. Naturally, he decided to give it a good kick. Feeling pretty proud of himself, he kept walking until he saw another pole. What did he do? Kicked that one too. But this time, things went sideways. As he gave the pole a kick, he quickly realized it wasn't stuck in the ground properly. The pole tipped over and he lost his balance, going down with it. First, he face planted on the ground, and then he ended up taking a dive straight into the lake. So, what's the lesson here? Sometimes it's better to just go with the flow instead of trying to change it. Otherwise, you might end up taking an unexpected swim. This security footage perfectly shows karma at work. A guy saw a dog rummaging through a garbage can and thought it'd be cool to give it a swift kick. But just as he was about to do that, karma had other plans and he slipped, falling flat on his back before he even got the chance to touch the dog. When the footage rolled, you could see him getting up slowly, clearly embarrassed, while the dog scampered off unharmed. It was a classic case of instant karma. Trying to kick a defenseless animal? Pretty low move. His fall was a fitting payback. His ego definitely took a hit, and hopefully he'll think twice before pulling that kind of stunt again. Life has a funny way of balancing things out. If you go around trying to kick others, you might just end up on the ground yourself.
My wallet, my earpiece, and a calculator.
There was no earpiece in the mail.
I love it. Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $500.
Honesty is definitely the best policy, but sometimes it's better to just keep your mouth shut. This was something a hilariously honest thief found out the hard way in court. A girl was listing all the stuff she had lost, like her IDs, $50, a calculator, and an earpiece. As she went through her stolen items, one of the accused couldn't believe what he was hearing. He blurted out in court, "There was no earpiece in the purse I stole." The whole courtroom burst into laughter at his slip-up.
My earpiece and a calculator.
There was no earpiece in the mail.
I love it.
This unexpected honesty made the judge's job way easier. Thanks to the thief's little confession, the judge quickly sided with the girl, and she ended up with $500 in compensation. So, if you're ever tempted to speak up, remember that while honesty may be the best policy, sometimes staying quiet is the way to go. After all, a thief's own words can really come back to bite them.
My wallet, my earpiece, and a calculator.
There was no earpiece in the mail.
I love it. Judging for the plaintiff for the amount of $500.
Oh my God, he's freaking arm or something gets ran over.
was a pretty chill evening at a gas station when out of nowhere a guy was filling up his car. Suddenly, two dudes in a white car pulled up and jumped out, looking like they were up to no good. One of them even wedged a barrier under the car to trap it. Classic carjacking move, right? First they opened the passenger door, and then one of them tried to muscle his way into the driver's side, thinking they had it all figured out. It seemed like they were about to win this situation, but then things got wild. As they both yanked on the driver to pull him out, he slammed on the gas. In a crazy turn of events, one of the thieves ended up right under the car's tire. What was supposed to be an easy score for them turned into a total disaster. The driver's quick thinking flipped the script in the most unexpected way. The thief found out the hard way that sometimes karma hits back way harder than you think.
Oh my god, his freaking arm or something gets ran over.
A kid was trying to get some shut-eye in his bed, feeling a bit on edge about what monster might pop out from the corner of the room. Just then, his mom walked in and he jumped in surprise. Instead of calming him down, she laughed and teased, "Why'd you jump? There's nothing to be scared of here." The boy felt a bit hurt by her reaction but tried to shrug it off. But karma came around fast. As his mom bent down to grab a bag from the floor, she whipped around and got a shock from her husband standing quietly behind her. She yelped, sounding just like her son did earlier. Seeing that, the boy couldn't help but grin. His mom turned red and realized how ironic the whole thing was. His dad, watching the whole scene, cracked up and pointed out how she made fun of him only to get the same scare herself. Looks like this mom learned that a little empathy and understanding can go a long way.
Y'all couldn't find a better way to protest than get out here. Y'all need to You got to get people doing you like this. That's gonna work.
It is an emergency. I gotta feed my
Destroying our human race, from destroying countless other.
For obstructing the traffic.
DC climate activists learned the hard way that playing in traffic isn't just a bad childhood lesson. Their peaceful road bleaking party got crashed by the boys in blue, who came with VIP invitations to the back of their cruisers. After giving them the classic "pretty please move" warning,
You are getting one warning. You're not getting any warning. If you do not get up and move out of the roadway,
officers went full party pooper mode and started collecting protesters like Pokemon cards, from road warriors to sidewalk spectators in record time, proving that some protests end with more handcuffs than high fives.
you want to walk. I want to go to walk. Don't try to touch me.
Y'all couldn't find a better way to protest than get out here.
Y'all need to
You got to get people doing you like this. That's gonna work.
It is an emergency. I gotta feed my
Destroying our human race, from destroying countless other. We have just a little over 5 years to possibly keep climate catastrophe from happening. We need President Biden to act now. We need him to declare a state.
Under arrest. They're right here.
For obstructing the traffic. Obstructing his police.
I'm gonna say one last time, move a bit.
2023, London got a taste of the world's most annoying morning yoga class when activists decided to play human roadblock at 14 spots. One Land Rover driver, clearly not a fan of this new traffic management system, went full bouncer mode. My guy hopped out like he was auditioning for World's Strongest Man, giving these protesters an impromptu physics lesson in force equals mass times acceleration.
I'm gonna say one last time, move a bit.
When warnings didn't work, he upgraded to the manual override approach, proving that sometimes the only way through a human wall is to become a human bulldozer.
One last time, move a bit.
Burning Man got extra spicy when climate activists decided to turn the desert into their personal protest playground. Plot twist, a police truck showed up to this party uninvited and went full demolition derby on their blockade setup. The highlight reel? One activist trying to pull a speak to the manager move and getting free metallic bracelets instead. Meanwhile, her buddies were doing their best statue impressions, proving that sometimes passive resistance is just fancy sitting. The road eventually reopened, because even in the desert, you can't stop the flow. No 24 outro, and that's a wrap on our wild tales of instant karma. It's a good reminder that what goes around really does come around, often in surprising ways. Whether it's someone getting a taste of their own medicine after being mean, or just life keeping things fair, these stories really make you think. Thanks for hanging out and watching these moments with us. Let's all try to spread a little more positivity with what we do. Until next time, take care, be cool, and let karma work its magic.